What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is the first video I'm posting of 2024. I appreciate all the support you guys gave me in 2023 since I started the channel, all the likes and the watches and the comments. I really appreciate it. So keep doing that. It's been great, and let's see how far we can take this in 2024. You know, I got big hopes for this channel. I got big plans for this channel. So hopefully we can do something special with this together. This video is going to be about the murder of Utica, New York police officer Thomas Lindsey. Now, this is the first case, because I'm from Utica, New York, for those of you that don't know who I am. I'm from the area, and this is the first case that I remember watching, like, as it unfolded, from like the moment of the crime to, you know, his arrest and all that stuff, which we'll cover in just a second. But before this, I really remember only looking at like the Bundys, the Dahmers, the Gacy's, the Eileen Wuornoses of the world, and people like that. Crimes that had already happened and that had already been solved. They were either in jail or dead, or whatever happened with them had happened. You know, the crime had happened, the punishment had been metered out, or whatever. But this is the first one I remember seeing as it went live, because I was still relatively young. This crime happened in 2007. He was sentenced in 2008. You know, I was born in 95, so, you know, you guys do the math on that one. Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about who Lindsey was and kind of what drove him to be a cop in the city that he grew up in. I think from what I can really tell, because I didn't know the man personally, I never met him, but I think from all the descriptions of him, he was a man that was, I think, simply put, dedicated to service. He was dedicated to serving his country first. He served in the Marine Corps right out of high school at 18. He was an embassy guard. Then he, once he got out, he joined the local police academy and joined the local police force. He dedicated to service, dedicated to his family, dedicated to his community. He was a man that obviously really loved what he did. He was a man that really wanted to see his community as a whole do better, and the community that he was serving the night he was shot was actually the community he grew up in. And the police chief of Utica at the time, he's not the police chief anymore, said that he loved serving in that neighborhood that he grew up in. Which, you know, when you're someone that loves your community like that, why wouldn't you want to give back to the community that you were raised in, that you know that your life kind of is centered around in a little ways, you know what I mean? Because, you know, when you grew up there, you know, you went to high school in the local city. It's a relatively big city, but it's not, you know, it's not a Boston or a Detroit or a New York City. It's a good sized city in New York State, you know. So it's not small town, but it's not like a big town, somewhere in between, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's the simplest way I can describe who he was. He was a man that loved his community, loved his family. He had a girlfriend, and she had, I think, 2 or 3 young kids. I'm blanking on the exact number off the top of my head. And they loved him. No one, I couldn't find, even on the down low, that no one even like whispered out of the side of their mouth a bad word about him. Everyone that loved him, all of the fellow cops at the time that knew him, loved him. The Marine Corps had nothing but positive things to say about him. He was just a decent guy that cared about people, you know. And it's unfortunate because, and the only thing we really know about the man that shot him, whose name was Wesley Molina-Cirino, he was 24 years old at the time he shot Lindsey, who was 32. So they're almost a 10-year age difference, about 8 years, obviously. But he was younger than me, because I'm 28. So this guy that shot Lindsey was younger than me, and Lindsey's older than me. So I was right in the middle. I'm right in the middle age-wise of where these two fall. No, I couldn't find much about the shooter's background. His nickname was a Flacco, so from here on out, I'll just call him Flacco for lack of a, you know, just because. So the only thing I could find about him was he was a persistent felon at 24. He had already been arrested multiple times by Lindsey himself, which the police and the prosecutors believed that was his main motive. He wanted revenge. Apparently he had basically threatened police before. He said something to the effect of, "You guys are gonna make me shoot a cop," which, that's a threat if I've ever heard one. That's more of a promise, it sounds like, from a guy who was a persistent felon and had been arrested. And that night he was out looking for a cop to kill, and out looking to kill Lindsey specifically. Now, before I get ahead of myself, to this day, he has not admitted to the shooting, but I'll get into that in a second. Now, that night, Lindsey had pulled over a car for rolling through a stop sign at the corner of Nielsen and Eagle Street. You can look up a map of the city if you want to see exactly where that is as far as like the layout of the city. But he pulled the car over for rolling through a stop sign. I'm not going to go over the traffic stop and tell you who was in the car, because the people in the red Dodge Neon that he pulled over have nothing to do with this crime, so I don't want to put their names out there in connection to this crime. They were just the unfortunate people who happened to be the ones that were stopped by Lindsey as this, I'm just going to call him a coward because that's what he is, as this coward comes up from behind him and shoots him. We've all seen 5,000 traffic stops on here anyway, so we all know what a traffic stop looks like. He had gone to the car at least twice because, first stops, license, registration, all that initial stop. Yeah, he goes back to the car, and then he's standing at the red Dodge Neon when he gets shot. Now, the driver of the car he pulled over did see the shooter get out of a black Monte Carlo, but at the time, busy street, a lot of people doing whatever, you don't really think anything of someone getting out of a car. Your attention is on the police officer that you're talking to, you know what I mean? At least his was, at least. So he didn't really think of anything of it. And then there is at least one witness that said they heard 3 shots, but to my knowledge, Lindsey only took one shot to the back right side of his head, I believe it was. So where the other 2 shots went, I don't know. Maybe he was shooting as he approached, like as he was walking towards the police officer, he was shooting but missed him a couple times. But he got shot. He obviously goes down, and he unfortunately passes away. I will say, I really do hope, like his girlfriend said, that he passed away instantaneously, because no one wants to be dying cold in the streets like that. So I just hope it was a painless death for him. Now, the shooter runs away. I believe he gets back into the Monte Carlo, and then he drives off. He goes home first. He gets changed because the community really rallied around the police, so they calling in anonymous tips so that he gets search warrants and stuff like that. They recovered the clothes he was wearing. They recovered the mattress as well, a bloody mattress as well, which confused me at first, but obviously once I realized that after a second, he must have, when he got home after before he took off, he must have sat down on his bed and changed his clothes and then got rid of the bed and the clothing he was wearing. But someone found that in, I believe, the alley, like either next to his house or right around his house or his apartment, because they lived in an apartment. The exact address of his, I don't remember off the top of my head. But so he does that. He gets arrested like 8 weeks later in another city in New York State on unrelated charges. I think there was possession charges. I don't remember if it was like a misdemeanor amount or a felony amount. Now, he really screwed himself over from the very beginning for once he got arrested. Because once they realized it was him, because initially they did think it may have been the owner of the red Dodge Neon that shot him, but because he took off, but he was scared, and he said that at trial when the defense was cross-examining him. There is really no footage of the trial, but you can read, if you look it up, a synopsis of what happened like each day of the trial. He said he was scared, and I understand that. I do think he should have stayed there, obviously, and waited for the police, but he was scared. He just saw someone get shot right next to him, a guy he was literally just talking to about, hey, I'm make sure your car is all right, or whether they were going to tow his car, or whatever the situation was with the traffic stop that they were talking about right before he got shot. He takes off. Once the police find him, he immediately starts saying, "I didn't do it." Now, police don't suspect anyone else was involved in this. The only connection that the driver himself had to the shooter is that he had previously known the shooter and had previously been friends with him. Now, he didn't identify him immediately because, like I said, he was scared, but he started, once he cooperated, he identified him, he knew him. Other people in the area had identified the shooter as well. But getting back to what I was just saying about how the shooter didn't do himself any favors. From the moment he was arrested on these other charges, he tried to cut himself a deal by essentially trying to offer up information on the location of the gun that shot Lindsey, but they never recovered the gun, so that never happened. They never got him a deal. He never handed over or told them where the gun was. that shot Lindsey. Now, to this day, I don't believe that the police know exactly what caliber of weapon that he used. I don't think they were able to determine exactly what type it was. They said it was a high caliber, but to my knowledge, that's all they were able to determine about his the caliber of the weapon. Now he kept really, for lack of a less cliche term, shooting himself in the foot. He kept offering them more and more information to like the investigators and the people who were interrogating him that they quickly realized that only someone that was the shooter would know. He actually ends up placing himself at the scene behind the cop car, basically accusing, I think, one of his relatives or someone that he knew of the crime, saying, I was at the scene, but I didn't do it, you know? That's essentially what he said. His defense team, there's really not much else to say, at least about the trial, getting into the trial. Once they had him in custody, they were obviously able to really quickly build a case on him. But he really had no hope of getting out of this. His only hope were to get the several search warrants that they had tossed, but they didn't. So that was the only hope, I think, from the outside looking in, that he really had potentially escaping a lengthy sentence. He ends up getting, spoiler alert here, life without. There is not much to say about the trial. It was only a 3-day trial. The defense team did what they could to defend him, and I'm never going to rag on defense attorneys because it's their job. Their clients are innocent until proven guilty. That it obviously is how it is here in America. And I believe he had multiple attorneys. One of his defense attorneys had previously already defended someone that shot a cop the year or two previously. So I guess he may have felt a little bit more comfortable knowing that at least one of his attorneys had experience in the exact kind of case that he was being charged with. Now, he did claim that he didn't speak English, and then he used an interpreter throughout the trial. And I don't believe that, because I don't see anywhere where they said that he needed an interpreter throughout the interrogation, that once he got arrested on these unrelated charges. I just think that he was sympathy or trying to get any sort of advantage that he could, but it didn't really help him at all. Using an interpreter, I probably only hurt him, to be honest, because it just makes everything a lot more awkward. But I've never been to court. I've never been charged with murder, so I can't put myself in his shoes. He is doing life without in a prison in Ulster County. Now, I am going to say this. I do hope that his prison sentence is not good, is not easy. Much like his girl Thomas Lindsey's girlfriend said at the trial, and her victim impact statement, which I read part of. I couldn't find the full thing. It was just teary-eyed, talking about how her kids were crying because Lindsey wasn't there anymore. But knowing the state of what people view of at least the hierarchy of offenses within prison, killing a cop is unfortunately more higher on that list. But he's been in prison for a long time now. I couldn't really find much on his prison record. I went on the New York State offender lookup, which lets you see where offenders are and what prison and what their sentence is, to look for maybe an updated mugshot of his. And I'm just guessing the website just doesn't use updated mugshots, because I clicked on a couple other names as well just to be sure, and none of them had mugshots. So maybe they just don't do mugshots in this particular website. Maybe you gotta contact the prison or whatever else you might need if you want or need a different mugshot. But that's the case of the murder of Officer Thomas Lindsey. It's very avoidable, but this guy, career criminal, tried to be a thug, and unfortunately ended a cop's life, ended a man that loved his family's life and dedicated to his city, and ended so many more lives as well. And affected so many more lives as well. They affected his friends, his family, the colleagues, the people that he worked with. There's so many more people are affected when it comes to violent crime, but you guys know that. But yeah, like I said, I appreciate you guys tuning into this. This is my first video of 2024. Let me know in the comments below what other types of content you guys want to see me make, whether it's true crime or music related content or sports, because the NFL playoffs have started. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this. Like the video, comment on it, share it, all that jazz. And until next time, stay safe and have fun.